Well, a very good evening and good afternoon to you from wherever you're tuned, listening and watching a Farmers Media. Karibu sana kwa the evening farm drive. How have you been? It's TBT Thursday. How is your Thursday coming along?
It's coming along well. Is it yet Friday? I'm just eagerly waiting for Friday. The week has really dragged.
Dragged me. I think it has gone so fast.
Really?
Just yesterday was Monday.
For me, it's is it Thursday? Is it Wednesday? I just want it to be Friday already.
Maybe because ya homa yenye inakusumbua. Karibuni sana. My name is Jackie Mo. Kama kawa, we are back in the studio talking matters to do with agriculture. I have two guests, very interesting guests with some goodies and some good news to tell us more about stories of agriculture. Karibuni.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Jackie, I'm not a guest.
You're a guest. They show you're a guest.
I'm happy to be here again. My name is Fiona Duta.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Eric Odhiambolangi. I'm also happy to be here to share more about especially transport and logistics on agriculture. Yeah, and we also thank God. I think for the past 3 days it's been raining in the Nairobi metropolitan region. So tunashukuru sana.
Manze mmengoja mvua.
Tumengoja bana.
Siji tupige sherehe.
Itabidi. Hii weekendi itakuwa tu sherehe ya kushukuru Mungu kwa sababu ya mvua.
Dancing in the rain.
Yes.
Langi, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? Are you a farmer? What are you farming?
Just as I say, my name is Eric. My background is research. I do a lot of research, and one of the areas that we do research on is agriculture. And specifically, we also do research just to try and understand what is the process of the transport and logistics of produce across for farmers across Kenya. Yeah. So just want to understand how do they get produce from the farm all the way to the market, and what is the process along the supply chain. Yes. Yeah.
You know, when I first heard of this project, transport and logistics, I was like, okay, now what? What is this? Transport, logistics? Maybe na hesabu. I told you that I did business. I failed terribly. I should have just practiced agriculture. At least ningepata kupanda tu mboga. Shida ilikuwa ati nilikuwa naogopa mchanga. Fiona, what did you understand when we were first introduced to this project? What did you understand just by hearing transport and logistics?
For me, like you've just said, it sounded like something very complicated because I had no idea how the two even relate or how they intertwine. So hearing the words, it was a bit complicated for me, and I couldn't, from the onset, I couldn't understand what it was. Yeah.
So you're the guys spearing the research. Tell us briefly, in a nutshell, in a layman's language that people can understand, what exactly is transport and logistics, and why is it important?
Yeah. So basically, when you talk about transport, you're just looking at how do goods move from one source to the other. Yeah. So that is basically what is transport. Yeah. But it is not only just the movement, but now what again happens just to ensure that there's that smooth movement from that place to the other. Like for now, when you're talking about agriculture and the agricultural values, supply value chain, you realize that in that movement probably you need storage. In that movement you need some cooling. In that movement you need other things. Yeah. So those are things that what we now call the logistics of that movement. That's why transport and logistics go hand in hand. Yes. And maybe you need clearance. You need all those. Yes. Yeah, the loadings and all those. Yeah, those are the logistics now of transport. But now it's just that putting it on a vehicle, then it goes to market.
Very interesting. Actually, it has taken me a long time to understand this entire project until today when I was researching the show. Because I was like, kumbe it is this.
Really?
It's very simple. Like logistics is the process of planning and executing the efficient transportation and storage of goods from the point of origin, that is in the farm, to the point of consumption, that probably is when the product reaches the market, to the final consumer.
Sure.
And the goal of the logistics is to meet customer requirements in a timely, cost-effective manner. And there are 4 drivers of agricultural logistics, including cost, quality service, tracking, and flexibility, and what platforms can best support them. So now this is the discussion we want to have, because we need to talk more about this project, because it is a big project. Transport is a big issue. We've visited various markets, and the biggest challenge that most of the transporters are talking about is transportation is expensive. You talk to some of the transporters. What did they say?
Yeah, we talked to a few transporters, a few traders, and you realize the biggest challenge they encounter is in terms of prices. Like, their means of transport, they are available, but now affording them is what is a challenge to so many traders and so many farmers. Yeah, most of them are saying you can harvest your produce, you can have a means of transport, but the prices will just take you back. Yeah, and it also leads them to encountering food waste, because now you cannot afford transport. You go for the means that you can afford. If you can afford a mkokoteni, achana na truck, use a mkokoteni, transport those that you can manage to get to the market. The rest you leave hoping that you can sell from the farm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lange, you've also talked to some people. What are the reactions you're getting? Is transport affordable? Is it cheap?
Sure. We've talked to farmers across the country, and I agree with what Fiona said, is that farmers are saying that transport is expensive, and one of the other reason apart from what she said is that currently fuel prices are also high. Yeah, so I think that has been passed to the farmers. Then one of the things that we also realize is that transporters are saying that sometimes when you get to the farms, yeah, there's that waiting time, especially when you're talking to those farmers who are doing fish. Yeah, there's that waiting time that they have to wait. Yeah, that also has to be charged, so it gets to ensuring that the eventual price of transport becomes very, very expensive. For instance, if a transporter gets from Nairobi to Kisumu, you realize that when they get to Kisumu, the fish hasn't been harvested yet. Then it's going to take a whole day maybe to harvest that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that they're going to be in Kisumu, just wasting. We're waiting for the harvest to take place. So they'll have to get somewhere to sleep and what. Yeah. Then that means that day technically has been wasted for them. So that cost is passed to the farmers. Yeah. Then you realize that normally there are always 2 ways. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So one way is when they have the produce. Then the other way, they may or may not have any goods to carry. Yeah. So normally when they always charge farmers, they charge 2 ways, because both the ways fuel is used. Yeah. So for the farmer, will always encounter prices for 2 ways. Yeah. If they are lucky, if maybe, for instance, maybe you're transporting to Nairobi, and you are lucky that the transporter has some other goods, then for it it's going to be eligible. But in most cases, you realize that one of the ways the transporter comes empty, but they still have to charge you for the fuel and transport.
That's unfair.
Yes.
Why would I be charged to pay for a truck that is going one way and I have to pay 2 way?
But then I'm also thinking the way Eric has said, if a truck is going to Kisumu to transport fish, or maybe a truck is coming from Kisumu to Nairobi, taking fish to Nairobi, I assume when it's coming back, it has to carry something that is close to fish. Because the fish has this strong smell. You cannot bring back spinach. When you've taken fish from Kisumu to Nairobi, and that truck has to go back to Kisumu, what is the convenient produce that can go back? I'm just trying to think.
I'm thinking fish, since fish falls in the meat family, probably they can transport goat meat or cow meat or...
No, exactly. Have you ever encountered a goat meat that smells like
comparing
fish?
if the truck is smelling of fish, would you put apples in, or bananas, or these tomatoes in the truck? It's not possible. And I'm imagining probably the truck that is transporting fish has a cooler inside.
Yes, of course, definitely.
If it has a coolant, can the coolant, okay, what are these coolants, if someone can just elaborate? Is it the whole truck that is a coolant, or there are boxes, coolant boxes inside?
It's yeah, what they always call is, they call it a refrigerated body. So what happens is that it's more of an air conditioner. So most of these trucks, you'll always see them fitted with an air conditioner.
It's
Yeah.
just to reduce the temperatures. It's not
Yes.
like a fridge that it has ice.
My mind was building
But-
like a fridge
But
structure.
but for it to work effectively and also reduce the cost of fuel, because unit also consumes fuel, you incorporate some ice inside, so that when the especially when the truck is moving, you don't have to put the air conditioner on. Yeah, but maybe when it's stopped, that is when you can put the air conditioner on, just to ensure that the ice remains as solid as possible.
But there's
Yeah.
a discussion, I don't know if you were having with Noah, and he was saying, like, I'm imagining this is a high-tech kind of truck.
Yeah.
You can be able to probably play around with the temperatures inside the truck. So when
Sure,
you're
sure,
when
yeah,
you're
you can.
transporting the fish, it is
It's
cold,
cold.
and when you're bringing something else, you change the temperatures.
No, actually, what happens is that when you bring something there, you just switch it off, so that it's just normal temperature. Yeah, just switch it off. And what the transporters do is that maybe on one way you take fish, you're going to wash the truck. Just ensure that you wash it nicely, so that the smell is not out, and you can't even put furniture or any other thing. That is how they're surviving. Yeah.
Interesting. From the research, we had the talk, discussion we had with most of the people at the CBD that is in Nairobi, in Mudhurwa, Marikiti, and Gikomba. I found, in my thinking, I saw like most of the farmers don't usually struggle with the transport. Like most of the farmers who are doing farming only practice the farming on the farm and wait for the transporters to come and buy from their farms. What have you realized from your research? Are you seeing any farmers who are doing everything from farming to marketing their produce and transporting?
I think it's on a rare case, because most farmers are usually so skeptical in carrying those charges. Like, you've harvested, and brokers don't waste time. If there are a group of farmers in maybe Naromoru, in Kokajiado, brokers will know the time these people are harvesting. So on the day of harvest, word has already spread. Word has spread to brokers. These people will be on their way. A broker is the one who takes the huge responsibility of looking for transport, because the moment a broker comes to your farm, they already have a market. There's already a market where they have told people, I'm bringing in like a ton of potatoes. So I think the huge responsibility falls on the broker. But now you realize brokers pia wananyanyasa farmers. Like, I can come to your farm, buy from you half price, while I'm going to sell more out of it. So I think for a farmer, most farmers wanajitolea your responsibility, are looking for transport, making sure your produce gets to the market. For them, they're just like, nime harvest, let brokers now start coming in and taking the produce.
What do you think causes the discouragement? Because probably we've had several shows and here at Farmers, and you always encourage farmers to practice their farming ventures as a business. So I'm asking myself, why would I put up my business in my farm and allow someone to come and exploit me? What causes that discouragement? Is it that the cost of farming is way too expensive for them to incur the cost of transportation, or is it that they are lazy or ignorant to look for markets? Because I'm imagining a farmer in Kisii has plenty of bananas, and probably a banana, the whole stock of banana trades at around 700 or 600 in Kisii. Then a broker comes and buys it at 200 shillings.
Yeah.
What causes that discouragement? Why shouldn't I just go the whole process? Like, I've planted, I've done everything, let me take this thing to the market.
Yeah. So one thing we also noticed on our research, just to answer your question, is that you realize that 90% of farmers in Kenya are smallholder farmers. Yeah. So smallholder farmers produce small volume. Yeah. And when the volume is very small, transporting it to the market becomes even expensive, because maybe, let's say you're supposed to hire a pickup, you realize that your produce can't fit a pickup or a truck or even something. Yeah. So what normally brokers do is that when they work as aggregators, so they come, then there are some places that most of their collection points, Then different smallholder farmers will bring their produce there, then they put on the truck. Yeah. So when different smallholder farmers come together, then they're able to fill in the truck.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that is one reason as to why farmers prefer to sell from their farms. Yeah. Then again, the logistics, also the process just from harvesting all the way to now again transporting to the farm and also selling. Yeah. I think most farmers think that is a bit tedious, and it's easy when you just do it on the farm, so that you just get your own profits and the sales, then you move on to the next. Mtu anasema mi kazi yangu ni kulima, so that is what they're concentrating on. Yeah.
But is it really tedious? Because why would you sell your produce at a loss?
I don't think
Or is it kind of misinformation? Because from this research of transport and logistics is when I've now come to understand exactly the whole process.
Mhm.
Does transport and logistics have to do, does it start from the farmer, or where does it start from?
I think it starts from the farmer, and we go back to the situation of grading produce. Like as a farmer, Jack, you've planted like 1 acre of tomatoes. By the time you're harvesting, you realize only a quarter an acre is grade 1. The rest are mediocre. Will you even have the motivation to get to the market? Because even when the broker comes to your farm, they will only select grade 1, and they leave you with maybe grade 10 or everything mediocre. So if you are left with everything mediocre, do you have the motivation to go to the market? You start selling around, you start selling to your neighbors, you start selling because whatever they have left you with doesn't have value at the market. Because brokers go for grade 1. The moment they realize Jackie is a farmer from Kisii, word spreads. And these people are working, it's a cartel of people. So someone will call Eric and tell Eric, Jackie is harvesting next week. So Eric will communicate with you and you will agree on a certain price. Sorry. So by the time Eric is coming to your farm, they're already taking the best from you. Now you are left with something that a lot of misinformation goes around telling you this cannot be sold. This is mediocre. This is grade 10. So it could be misinformation. It could be that farmers feel kuna hiyo inferiority complex. This cannot sell in the market. Yeah.
So this is the discussion we are having. Follow the discussion on our Facebook page at Farmers Media. We are also live on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Talk to us. Tell us what you think. Why is it that farmers are being exploited by brokers? Is it because transport is expensive? Is it that we don't have transporting companies? There's a campaign that Farmers Media is running on transport and logistics. We want to find out from the farmers where exactly is the disconnect, because from the few people we've interviewed, there's a lot of food loss and food wastage that goes around from the time the produce is picked from the farm until it gets to the market. But as much as you're talking about food waste, there is no food waste, because in the Mudhurwa, everything is sold.
Everything is sold, yeah. And actually, me and Jackie were really shocked because for the longest time, there's a time I worked in the other side of town. So coming from work, I used to prefer buying from the roadside vendors. There are so many of them and they sell things at a throwaway price. So I used to think back then it's a steal. I mean, buying from these people, nimeangukia, But recently we just realized that is the food that is,
the mediocre,
the mediocre food is the one that lands hapo kwa roadside.
Yes.
Actually, it's meant to be thrown away. But the people who are selling on the roadside, they feel instead of this food being thrown away, let me make an extra coin by bringing it to the roadside. Kuna ule mtu tu fala mwenye atanunua.
The ones who are always first, like, let me just pick this from here and I won't have to carry a long way, ningie tu kwa gari and I go home. So Langi, tell us about this project. What is it about, this campaign? Which regions are we looking at? What crops are we focusing on?
Yeah. So Farmers Media has partnered with the UK Tech Hub just to try and solve the problem of transport. We just from our preliminary research that transport is a bit expensive, so we want to see, first of all, we want to understand why is transport expensive, and if maybe we can work with the farmers and also transporters just to get a solution towards that. Yeah. So we are running a 6 months project that is divided in two phases, where phase one is more of doing our research, so that one, we want to see what is already outside there, what is known about transport logistics outside there, and when we say transport is expensive, why is it expensive? And I think some of the reasons we've started discussing them here. Then also try and ask farmers and also transporters that now how can we ensure that transport becomes affordable, efficient, and very reliable for both the farmer and also the transporter. Yeah. So that is what we've been doing. Currently we're collecting data. Then of course now, so the phase two, which is now the in the next 5 months down, now we'll just be testing a solution. Yeah, just around transport and logistics, because eventually our aim is to provide affordable, efficient, and reliable transport that also reduces food waste. So that is basically all about that project. So currently we're in the phase one, collecting data, and so we are talking to a lot of farmers, both online and offline, getting into the farm, just also trying to also experience ourselves what is how transport and logistics is. Yeah. So currently we are doing it in Nairobi, the metropolitan region, that is Nairobi, Kajiado, and Machakos counties. We are doing it in the coast counties, Taita Taveta, Mombasa. We are doing it in Kisumu, Kisii. We're also doing it in Embu. Yes, we're talking to farmers around those areas, and just also to see when you talk about transport logistics. Yeah, because one of the things that we know is that, of course, I know there are solutions outside there that just also trying to help farmers to get affordable transport, but still they say when you talk about transport, it's still very expensive. Yeah. So we understand, we want to understand that, and now see how we can synchronize all these solutions into one, and see how best can the farmer benefit and also the transporter benefits. Yeah.
It's very interesting because even the supply chain, the people we talked to at Marikiti, most of them don't even own these trucks.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, sure.
transporters don't own the trucks.
Exactly.
They hire the trucks, and then I wonder how they get to the market. How do they know where to go for the products they go to? Because I'm thinking, how long do they take on the road? Let's say from Nairobi to Kisumu, how long do they take? How long do they take for the produce to be loaded into the truck, and then how long do they take again to come back? Because there's a truck we saw, they were telling us they will be in Marikiti for the next 3 days, because by the time they come back, they still have to look for people to come and buy their produce,
Sure.
the oranges. So like it is a tedious kind of work.
It is, and that is why you realize that now when you're a farmer, you would rather somebody comes and gets the produce from your farm. Because imagine if you're the farmer, you harvest, and you're the same person who wants to transport it to market and also do the marketing. Yeah, and especially when you are smallholder farmers, it becomes a bit inefficient and even expensive in the long run. Yeah. So you realize that it's always very easy for large-scale farmers, large-scale farmers who got this good, who got this large produce and an efficient system, and even workers who are disintegrated. So there are people who are in the production, then there are the people in the sales. Yeah, but now when you're smallholder farmers, who are the majority, your produce is very little. Yeah, you can't be the one who is planting in Kisumu and you want to come and sell in Nairobi. Yeah, so you'll have to involve other people. So these are the people, they said most of them are brokers who get the market, then they get the produce from whichever place, if it's Embu, if it's in the coast, then they also come to sell it.
But I think it's a wrong way of doing things, because if probably you've grown tomatoes and they take at least like 3 to 4 months to get ready, why would you stay on your farm and wait for the produce to be ready for you to start looking for market? Why don't the farmers start looking for market even before they put the seed on the ground, so that by the time the crop is ready, you already know, I've identified these tomatoes right now probably in Machakos, maybe you're in Kisumu, and probably in Machakos there are no tomatoes. You can also hire that truck and take the tomatoes yourself, because you already know where you're taking the tomatoes. What do you think?
I I think, Jackie, when we were at Marikiti, I had a conversation with a broker,
Mm.
and this is what I learned. This guy was telling me the moment they realize someone is harvesting, because they only come around when it's time, when the harvest is closer. So what they usually do is the moment they know you're harvesting in a month or a week, this is what they do. They start looking for buyers. Because you realize once you take your produce to even Marikiti, if you don't have buyers, that truck might stand there the whole day without no one buying from you. And here you have you have a lot of produce. So they always say, even as they are coming to the market, they start selling along the way. You realize Jackie has ordered, like, I don't know, 10 sacks of potatoes, and they're along your route. So the advantage that brokers have, they have a huge, vast market. They don't just wait to get to the market so that they can start selling. They start selling the moment they get out of your farm. There's someone who has ordered here. So they're well versed when it comes to market. And that is the advantage they have over farmers. Because you realize many farmers, they concentrate more on farming. Because you cannot serve 10 masters at a go. You cannot be on your farm at the same time you're looking for market at the same time. And you realize Waru comes from all the way from maybe Kirinyaga to Nairobi. As a farmer, do you have links in Nairobi? Do you have people who are already interested in your produce? You realize it's just recently that farmers have decided to are thinking of, are even looking at their agriculture to agribusiness. You know, so that's brokers have got more advantage than farmers.
Interesting.
Yeah, sure. And it's something that you realize that in most businesses, of course, there's always the producer, there's the wholesaler, there's the retailer. Yeah. And most businesses always prefer selling, especially when you're producing in large quantities, you always prefer selling through those channels. Yeah, just to.
And the point Fiona has raised is I think it has got me thinking again, and I'm like, how easy or hard is it? Because as much as we might be saying the farmers are ignorant, but how easy or hard is it for the farmer to penetrate into a market? Because like in Marikiti, you cannot just wake up one morning and say that you have, I don't know, 1,000 sacks of potatoes and expect that you'll get space.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah, even just by getting space. It starts from there. How guaranteed is that you'll travel all the way from Kisii with your bananas and get space in Marikiti? Like, that place has got cartels. Like, there are people who know the market so well. And there are people, even as we were getting in, you realize they were names of, you're looking for something, talk to, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a market owned by a few people here and there. So you have, as a farmer, you have to have a rapport with those people first before you even just get a chance to sell anything there. So Mimi, as a farmer, where do I start? Do I have the energy? do I have the energy to start reaching you? Then you lead me here, and you know, the country we are in, later I'm corner, bring.
They're macho.
Yeah, later I'm macho, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so now, Lucky, as we are conducting this research, so this transport sector that we are looking at, who are we focusing on? Is it the brokers or is it for the farmers?
Eventually, the main aim of this project is to benefit the farmer. Yeah, benefit the farmer and also the transport, but not also hurt the transporter. So the key beneficiary is the farmer, but of course we also want the transporter also to not get hurt in terms of if maybe transport is now affordable. It doesn't mean that the transporter has lowered the prices, so to the extent that they're getting hurt. Now we just want an efficient system which is a win-win for both people. Yeah, and also we also trying to focus on fresh farmers who are producing fresh produce. Yeah, because one of the things that we also realize is that transporters prefer to transport dry produce than fresh produce, because the logistics of fresh produce is a bit high, and they're also harder than of course to dry produce. Yes.
Interesting. Now, from the, I know we visited the various regions so far. Which mode would you say is the most preferred use of transport for agricultural produce, and which is affordable and probably readily available? That if we here today we are harvesting 1,000 cabbages, which mode of transport is the best and is the most preferred by the transporters?
So from our research, we realized that actually we can categorize farmers into three. Yeah. So there's a first mile, those who are very very far from maybe the main highway. Then as you come closer, there's those who are in the middle. Then those who are now very close to the highway. So you realize that those that are very far, I know there's smallholder farmers that they produce in low volumes, and actually much of the transport that is used there are, some of them just use manual transport whereby they just carry on their head or their back. Some of them use motorcycles, and also because the produce is also very low. So maybe they do that to the collection point where they now meet the aggregator. You realize that the aggregator has a small truck or a pickup. Then as it gets back to the highway, whereby now the big boys take it, now they use the large trucks and that. Yeah. So it depends with how close it is to the main highway, and also it depends with the produce and the volume of produce that the farmers are producing.
You can imagine the journey that the food we eat, how many faces does it, how many hands does it even pass to? Like, if you wanna remember the other person we found at was it Marikiti or Mudhurwa? It was like him, he waits for now the what will you call them? The retailers, wale wa mtaa, when they come to buy, now he transports for them to the estates. So you can imagine. By then I never thought that.
You never thought so. There's someone like that.
Food goes through all those hands. Like from the farm, you've had there's the collection center. From the collection center, the first brokers, then the big brokers, then to the main market. From the main market again, it is still taken. How do we ensure that we can preserve this food to avoid food loss and food waste? What can we do to make the process efficient? I think it should also be part of the research. What's your take?
Yes. Actually, it's also part of the research, because one of the things that we're also asking farmers is whether they're aware of food loss and what do they consider as food loss or food wastage, and at what point does that happen. Yeah. So we realize that it happens at different stages. At harvesting stage, because of handling, especially when you're using when you're harvesting fresh produce, you realize that just because of the way you're harvesting, the method you're using, some food waste takes place there. Then even at now the point where you're transporting to the market, that when you're offloading, depending also on how that is done, some food loss takes place there. And also even along the transit, when you're floating from the market during that point of sales. So a lot of it is first, a lot of food loss and food waste takes place along that chain. So we also trying to ask farmers how best do we think we can actually reduce that, especially when various transport systems are involved. Then you realize that the more the food is lost, as opposed to maybe it's one. Like for instance, if maybe the farmer gives to maybe a motorcycle, a bike rider, then the bike rider is going to take it to the pickup, then the pickup takes it to the main truck, then the main truck takes it to the market, who is going to offload to different resellers. So that the more people are involved in handling it, the more food is lost. But there's some people, like when we're in Kisumu, we realize that they just some people who just take directly from the farmer. So the farmer gets the fish directly to the truck, then the truck gets it to the market. So you realize that it's actually once it has been loaded on the truck from Kisumu, then the other place that the offload is going to happen is in Nairobi. So you realize that there's very little food waste that
even
that takes
movement,
place.
it takes way fast. It's way faster doing that instead of this one comes and picks and picks and picks by the time. And you can imagine that we usually buy this at sometimes I don't buy this nyanyas at 10. You go buy like tomatoes a whole kg or 2 kgs for the whole week, and then you're like you're preserving them, and you don't know how long they've taken on the road
to get to you.
What's your way of preserving? What's your take on how can we prevent food loss and food waste?
I think food waste starts from your home. You find that, like you've said, we buy unnecessary, and that does not mean you change your ways of buying food. For me, I feel buy what you're going to consume, and if you buy in bulk, make sure you have very good preserving. Like you have a good fridge. Because sometimes you realize some vegetables, you put them in a fridge, you give them 2-3 days, they come out, they are like ni madogotanio, you know. They come out,
they've already changed the color.
They have changed the color. They don't. You cut an apple, you put it in the fridge. The next time you're taking it out, it doesn't look fresh, you know. So for me, I would say when it comes to food preservation, start it at home. Don't buy unnecessary. The amount of food that is wasted in our homes, it's a lot. You realize that you put food in your plate, you don't finish, you dump it in the dustbin. So it starts from our homes. Let us learn to buy what we can consume. Yeah.
I'm interested on covering the story on how fish is transported, because we learned that the fish we eat comes from very far.
Yeah, sure. Actually, much of it comes from Uganda and China. I think there's a little fish that comes from around here. I think I will say more than 50% comes from outside. And the process is also very tedious, because from harvesting, and much of it is also caged fish. I think there's little wild fish. Yeah. So the big farmers do caged fish, and then maybe smaller farmers are the ones that do wild fish. That is a bit seasonal. Sometimes you can get it, and you can't also get it.
There's seasonal fish.
Yeah, there are instances whereby they might go fishing and come back with very little.
Wow.
Yeah. They're also saying that it also depends with the weather, and maybe there is like especially when they say when the moon is high up on the sky, it becomes a bit hard to get small fish. I don't know if
what happens.
I think the small fish is able to see, okay, that fisherman is coming to get us. Yeah? So that also affects. Yeah.
Interesting. Effects of climate. Even fish are affected.
We are feeling it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the process of transporting fish. Yeah. So once you harvest it, then it has to, depending on how you want to sell it, maybe you're selling it directly without removing the scales. Then it means that, of course, you just put it directly on the truck, then it comes to the market. But there's some people who want to sell it when the scales are removed, and also the intestines. Yeah. So it means that from there, it's taken to another process of that, and so where scales are removed, it's called gutting. The process is called gutting. Yeah. Scales are removed, and the intestines are also removed, which also helps in preservation.
Really?
Yeah, because once you do that, then it means that, especially when the intestines are removed, then it can stay longer. It can stay longer, maybe 5, even 2 weeks before it's sold. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in Gikomba market, where most of the fish that is sold in Nairobi is usually that's where the fish lands, and
Sure.
We had a video with one of the man who has been doing the fish business for almost 20 years. Fiona's
20 years. he was a fish farmer for 10 years, and he has been a trader for 10 years. So a total of 20 years in the fish business.
Yeah, let's take a look and listen into what you had to say about fish business and transportation of fish all the way from Lodwar, Turkana, was it Migori?
Migori.
Yes, let's take a look and see
Mbita
fish business.
Ni cold room mahali tunaweka fish. Second ni ice plant. Ice plant tunatumia ile haiwezekani, ile ya Coca-Cola, na ni legally ni ya wizi. Tunaiba tu tuweke kwa samaki ikuwe fresh. Na ingine ile tunapitia ni vile serikali wanataka kusaidia samaki ikikuwa nyingi packing na iwekwe kwa mahali mzuri. Wakati njaa itakuwa juu, samaki iko na season yake, iko wakati inatoka nyingi. Hata kama saa hii ilitangazwa maji imegeuka green. Jana ukiona TV walikuwa wanasema maji imegeuka green, samaki inakufa. Samaki inakuja nyingi sana saa hii. This time samaki iko nyingi na hakuna order, hakuna soko. Soko ni kidogo. Soko ya Kenya tukipeleka mahali zote zimejaa. Unapata sasa kuna mahali tunapeleka tena. Hiyo ndio inaleta tukose mali ya kuweka samaki, mali ya kurefer samaki kwa vizuri. Hiyo ndio naona iko challenge, na vile saa hii watu wanakula samaki. Watu wanakula samaki. Kenya watu wanakula samaki. Iko wakati tulikuwa kwa mkutano ya serikali ilisemekana kwa Kenya watu kwa mwaka watu wanakula samaki 4 kg, lakini saa hii imeongezekana juu samaki, tumetangaza samaki ni mzuri na inakuliwa. Tumeona saa hii tunachinja samaki, tunatoa fillet, whole fish inaenda hivyo hivyo. Hiyo ndio naweza sema leo, na nimeshukuru kwa hayo.
Umesikia watu wanakula samaki.
Unajua samaki bado wale nutritionist wanasema it being it's white meat is a bit safe compared to red meat, so people prefer it.
Do you guys love fish?
I
What
do.
is your relationship with fish?
I do.
Is
I
that a
do.
question?
No, I'm asking because there are people who don't eat fish or
Why?
anything fish.
Why?
I think it's just because of you know, the way the other time we were saying, what is your relationship with food as a kid? How were you introduced to fish?
Mm-hmm.
Because me personally, I have a very bad relationship with fish. I'm usually very skeptical about fish.
What happens when you eat fish?
I think for me, the first time I ate fish, the way it was prepared, it was so bad to the point where I created I was like, I'm never going to eat fish again.
Really?
Until as an adult, I now know how to prepare it. I now know how to prepare it to my taste. That's when I can only eat fish that I've prepared myself, because I know my preference. You know, the way the first time I ate fish was fresh fish, and it had just been cooked like that.
Like they didn't fry it in
They didn't fry. When we were a kid, they used to boil it for us, and then we would eat it like that. So,
Even me, that one is a no.
so I created a very bad relationship with fish. For me, fish was torture. So as an adult, I'm now learning how to prepare it myself and eat it. Like I deep fry it, I cook it with some coconut milk, you know.
Do you know how to remove the scales?
Hey, let us not even go there. Let us not even go there.
You don't know how to remove the scales.
I can't do it to save my life.
But the journey of the fish from the time it comes from the lake, it's quite a tedious.
It's quite tedious, and I respect how they even set their prices, because I can imagine after harvesting the fish, the process of removing I've even had it from him today, the removing of intestines, you know. So I can imagine how much of a process it is.
Yeah, it is a tedious one.
Yeah.
And
So-
then it is transported in baskets with ice cubes.
Yes.
Those people who cannot afford to get
The
the air
coolants.
contracts.
Yeah.
It's
Especially now the smallholder farmers who the ones who now have some small produce, so they just put them on baskets. Then the aggregator comes from getting it from different farmers and puts it inside there.
so like for the farmers who do the fishing, how much do they sell the fish at to the aggregators?
It's always sold at
If you approximate.
per kg. I think for tilapia it's maybe 200 shillings. Then the aggregator comes and sell it at 300, 150, 200. I think they're about, based on what they were telling us.
But then they also incur the cost of the ice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Remember
that was
that
a
actually?
challenge. That was
Yeah,
a huge
sure.
challenge for them. They
And
say-
you know you can't sell fish without ice. It has to be there because it's going to go bad.
Why? Then
Fish is very perishable. Even and if you're not also experienced in terms of handling it,
Mhm.
so So they remove the intestines while at sea, or when they come now when it gets to the market.
You realize that especially now the large scale, like the large scale farmers or the large aggregators will always prefer just selling it like that without the intestines, with the intestines and scales. Yeah. But now the retailers, like the one that we just saw, with them they'll have to remove the intestines and the scales, because you realize they're now selling to the final consumer. Yes.
And I think we saw more of that when we were getting into the fish market in Gikomba.
Yes.
So many vendors were at that. They were busy removing the scales, removing the intestines.
Because you're selling to hotels and also selling to the final consumers. The hotels will tell you they don't have time to do the scaling and the grading.
Even fish is graded.
Yeah, it is. It is, especially for the large scale consumer. The large scale as a reseller, they have to grade in terms of sizes, because fish is more majorly sold in terms of weight. So there is what they always say is a size 1. Size 1 is 1 kg fish and above. Then there's a size 9, about 900 grams there. There's a size 8, up to size 2, which is 200 grams. Size 5 is 500 grams. Yeah. So for it also being efficient in terms of selling and limit the handling as much as possible, you need just to grade it, so that if somebody says they want the size 5, you tell them, okay, the size 5 are here.
And now there's another one. We saw a big Nile perch. Now that one will be size. The big ones. I don't know if our director can
It was
get
the
that
size
picture.
of
So for this one is mostly for tilapia. For tilapia is what they do the grading like that. Then for the Nile perch is just sold on per kg. So that they just know how much.
But that fish was
what
big.
is the weight? Then they tell you, okay, if it's 20 kg, then probably maybe a kg 600 or 300. Then you just do that.
And let me ask Eric something,
Yes,
because
yes.
I think Eric knows so much about fish. I have 2 questions for you.
Yes.
So the first one is, we also have seafood.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Seafood, is it classified in the fish family, or it's on its own?
It is fish. It is fish. So it's only that seafood comes from the ocean.
Oh, it comes from salt. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Why is it that seafood is usually very expensive? Especially now, I think when you're going to a restaurant and you decide to have some seafood, it's usually very pricey.
Yeah, when you get to seafood, even the process of harvesting is also a bit more tedious. You need more sophisticated equipment and also, yeah.
And it's transported the same way fish is transported.
Yeah, you just transport it the same way. You just put it on refrigerated trucks. Then it comes to the seafood. Then I also think seafood is also more of an high-end consumer product. Yeah, so you'll just get it in specific hotels. The normal hotels you want.
Even like the hassle of preparing it as
Now
a meal.
you can eat now sushi, like that thing
Sushi,
usually
it has an acquired taste. I
What
think
kind of
sushi
taste?
has.
No.
It's for the chosen few.
No, I cannot even the octopus. I tried one. I just ate one leg and was like, no.
What does it taste like? I've
Just
never.
fish.
It doesn't taste like matumbo.
No, it's
Many people
but
say it
then
tastes
it's
like
just
matumbo.
fish and it smells like fish. Yeah,
Is it the one which one is too salty?
it's the nini octopus.
The octopus. So you don't prepare it with salt? Yeah.
It has a lot
Okay.
of salt because I think it's because it's in the
Sea.
it lives in the sea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the water in the sea is salty.
When we go to Mombasa, we should try the seafood and all of that.
Sure.
I'll pass.
Mhm.
I beg to pass.
Okay.
So, how does now transport affect market prices from what we've been able to gather?
I think is transport a determining factor in terms of setting prices for your produce?
It should be.
It is because if transport is high, and then the market price is high. When we're talking to some of especially those who get fish from our neighboring country, Uganda, they tell you that it's an average of 120,000 Kenya shillings just getting fish from Uganda for maybe an 8-ton truck. 120,000 shillings. Then you realize that when you get it's about 10 bob to transport a kg. Yeah, so that has to be passed down to the
The
consumer.
consumer.
Yeah. So
And
if maybe transport increases, like right now, I think in last month they were selling at 300 a kg. Right now they're selling between 310 320. Part of it, okay, they were saying it's because of the dollar rates, because it's international trade, they're using the dollar, but also transport. When fuel gets,
Right.
it means your cost of
It
operation have
affects.
increased.
Now,
It
Eric,
does
let me
affect.
ask a question. You've talked about fish being transported from Uganda. We've talked about fish being transported from Turkana.
Yes.
And there's a farmer who is transporting it from Bita. So between these two people, who is likely, is that a determining factor? I mean, I'm removing from Uganda, wewe unatoa tu hapa Mbita. You should have lower prices. Is it, how does it work? From Uganda, it's long distance. From Mbita, you can't equate the distance. So how does it work?
Funnily enough, you realize that the fish that comes from Uganda, those guys are saying it's a bit, it's cheaper, especially now when you're doing large volumes. It's a bit cheaper compared to whatever we get locally. Then they're also saying it's also of high quality compared to what we are doing locally. Then I realized that our local producers, in as much as they also do fish cages, but most of them still have small cages, so they're not able to keep up with the market demand. Yeah, so most resellers, the large resellers, still prefer to go to Uganda, because in Uganda here there are suppliers who can supply you for even a whole 6 months constantly. But maybe for the local producers, maybe after 2 weeks the fish is gone.
They're out of fish.
Yes. Yeah, because they
Interesting.
just have some small cages and yeah.
Very interesting discussion you're having here. We're talking about matters to do with transport and logistics in agriculture, the importance of having this transport and logistics. Why is it important for the farmers? I can see Kamau wa Mwangi Barudhi wa Jeshi. Hiyo jina.
Jina ya
Anasema
pesa.
great show. Robert Bakio is also following. Keep the comments coming in. Langi, you were talking about the questionnaire that we are putting across for farmers who are coming from the regions where we'll be having these projects. Probably tell us about what is in the questionnaire and how can farmers get that questionnaire.
Yeah, so we are collecting data using different methods. We are talking to farmers face to face, but we also want to give a chance to farmers who we may not reach on face to face to also give us their views. Yeah, because whatever is going to come out of this project is going to benefit all. We want farmers to give us their opinion in all areas. Some of them also talking about policy issues, like in some areas we are saying the cess is or the charges that people are charged just to transport the produce is very high. So we're also looking at that. Yeah, so we also want to share the questionnaire with the online community. I think maybe I'll just give it to you so that you just put it on the link, and they also can follow pages of our farmers media across all social media platforms, and then they just fill it out. It's a short questionnaire, just asking questions just to understand more what are the challenges they face when they're accessing transport, and what is the opinion on how best, what are some of the solutions that they have in their own opinion on how transport can be made more affordable, more efficient, and also more reliable. Maybe after this you can have the link on the social media pages of Farmers Media. Then I'm just urging them to go there and input their views. And so basically for these, the views that they give is just going to be used to make this project a success. We're not going to share any of their views or any information that they give us beyond the scope of this project. So they should not fear to give us everything that they feel is going to make this project a success. Yes.
And which crops probably will we be focusing on during the entire project? You mentioned the perishable produce,
Fresh
farm
produce,
So
yeah.
which
So
some
we're
of the crops?
we're looking at crops such as watermelon, tomatoes, potatoes, cabbages, yeah, fish, seafood. So depending on regions, yeah, and all that is listed on the questionnaire, so they'll see that. Yes.
Yeah, so there you have it. Are you a farmer? What kind of farming are you practicing? We are looking for you either from Kajiado, Nairobi, which areas are also Mombasa?
Embu, Mombasa, Kisumu, Kisii.
Yes.
Yes.
So farmers, transporters, get to us, get in touch with us. Tell us the challenges that you face. Is transport where you're living affordable? How do you even transport your goods? Do you use tuk-tuk? Do you use lorries? Do you use pickups? Get to us. Tell us how easy or hard is it to find market for your produce, because we need to get the correct results and also advise accordingly on the best transportation for your farm produce. We'll be taking a short breather, pay some bills. But Noah was at some place in Mashuru talking to tomato farmers to find out how they do their grading and how they transport their tomatoes. So we'll be looking at that video, and do stay with us. We'll be back shortly after this.
One and action.
Welcome to another edition of Africa Farmers Connect, right here from IE Farmers Media. Your host Noah Nasiali Kadima, and we are talking to farmers. We are asking them the hard questions. Apart from production, because we are seeing production is excellent, production is super. What are the other challenges? Where does the challenge of affordable transport and logistics services come in, and as well as other people who are doing it? What can be done in the right way? Today, I have some guests here, wakulima ambao wamekuwa wakilima nyanya kwa muda mrefu sana. Watatuelezea ni nini ambayo wanafanya, wamekuwa wakilima kwa muda mgani, and ni nini ambayo inaweza saidia zaidi. Kabo. Okay. Ujiintroduce kidogo, tuambie wewe nani, umelima kwa kiasi gani?
Okay.
Yes.
Mimi Joseph Mugambi, nimelima kwa muda mwaka 6, na saa hizi kilimo iko na challenges sana juu wakati tunalima hii mzigo imeanguka bei sana, hata kuuza ni shinda, lakini bado tunajaribu.
Na wewe?
Mama Huruma.
Okay. Ndio Mama Huruma. Mama Huruma, wewe ni nani? Tuambie majina yako. Tuambie umekuwa ukilima kwa muda mgani?
Wamboyaza.
Ama Wamboyaza kwanza.
Wamboyaza.
Mimi naitwa Veronica Wamboi. Nimekuwa kwa kilimo kwa muda wa miaka hiyo 6. Imekuwa imetupeleka vizuri, mara inaanguka bei, mara inapanda. Lakini bado tunaendelea kujaribu.
Mama Huruma, tuambie mambo. Yes, sasa tuko what we are here in Imachine in Kajiado County. Sasa Kabo, hebu tuelezee nyanya, mbona nyanya? Nafikiri ile time nyingine tulikuwa tunaongea.
Okay.
Mbona nyanya? Why tomatoes?
Okay. Sasa hii mchanga inakuwa favorable na situation ile iko hapa, na maji tunapataka kwa shinda, lakini bado tunayakuaga tukijaribu juu ni ile ya borehole. So tunajaribu na njia zote juu hapa hakuna kazi nyingine ya kufanya, ile kitu tunafanyaga hapa ni farming na grazing.
Sasa uliniambia ulikuwa unalima Mwea zamani. Nini ilikutoa Mwea ukakuja hapa?
Okay. Mpandi ya Mwea kulikuwaga na shinda sana, mchanga imechoka na mchanga pale iko exhausted na bado iko na wilting. Sasa kilimo ya hapa haina hiyo masinda yoyote. Ile challenge kubwa hapa sana ni maji na uuzaji.
Ukisema uuzaji, uuzaji unamaanisha nini?
Okay, nasema saa zingine juu hii mwezi wa 9 bei imeanguka sana, na vile vitu tunatumia hapa ziko na bei ghali tukienda kwa fertilizer na hii spraying chemicals bado ziko juu. Sasa hata saa zingine hapa tunatumia pesa na hairudi juu ile vitu tunatumia ziko juu sana.
Sasa Wamboi, nini umejifunza miaka 6 hii ya nyanya?
Miaka 6. Miaka 6 nimejifunza mambo mengi sana ya nyanya. Kama hiyo mambo ya kupiga dawa. Mambo ya kununua. Yote nimejifunza.
Lakini naona kitu moja ambayo mmeshindia wakulima wengi sana. Hiyo ni transport. Mumewezaje mambo ya transport?
Okay, transport hapa iko juu sana juu wakati mafuta iliongezeka, hiyo ndio inatuanguza sana juu wakati tunapeleka pale kuja hapa tunaipiswa transport bei ghali. Na sasa vile tunafanyaga ndio hiyo iwezekane, tunafanyaga kujaza mzigo juu saa zingine tukikosa kujaza hailipi.
Lakini wacha nikuulize kama unajaza hii mzigo, unajuaje utapata mzigo ya kujaza hiyo lori?
Okay. Sasa ile kitu iko hii shamba tunalima ni shamba kubwa. Kama saa hizi mimi niko na eka 12 na saa zingine na jaribu sana zile itajaa kwa ngari ndio ianze kulipa ile transport iko.
Adiko na kangapi?
12 acres.
12 acres. Na unalima yote?
Na nalima yote.
Na siku hiyo tulikutana mara ya kwanza uliniambia mnanunua seedlings. Nyie hamweki nasari wenyewe.
Hatuweki.
Kwa nini?
Juu sasa hapa kuweka seedlings saa zingine inakuaga ikikufia kwenye wakati ina sprout zingine inakufa. So sasa tuna prefer kununua zile za company juu hizo zinakuaga mzuri.
Sasa tukirudi kwa hiyo mambo ya transport Wamboi. Si rahisi kuleta lori isimame hapa ingoje mzigo. Mnafanya namna gani?
Unaweka tu mzigo kienda kwa shamba, ukiangalia hiyo nyanya unaona inajaa gari. Sasa unapiga mahesabu yako, ukipiga mahesabu kama inalipa gari. Inabidi ununue mzigo
italipisha gari.
Venye hiyo gari utaenda urudishe pesa zako na ilipe gari na irudishe nini yote.
Profit. Sasa wote niulize, hii mambo ya transport si rahisi. Na vile bei ya mafuta pia imepanda sana. Kama ungeweza kupata gari ya bei nafuu ambayo iko kwa kawaida kwamba kuna gari affordable transport ambayo ile ukiweza kutumia labda hata ulipi gharama mingi lakini iko available, hiyo inaweza kusaidia wewe katika kazi hii ya ukulima.
Tena sana tukipata hiyo gari ya kulipiza bei mzuri, itatusaidia juu ile pesa mingi tutatumia itakuwa pesa kidogo na hiyo pesa ile itabaki tutafanya implementing kwa vitu vingine ya shamba. Ndio kilimo iwe kubwa.
Sasa tuulize kwa mfano, najua hiyo ni biashara lakini pia ni siri yako. Lakini lori kama hii ili iweze kuja hapa ibebe mzigo ipeleke sokoni. Ni kama pesa ngapi hivi?
Tuseme now it is 26,000.
26,000 shillings. 30,000. 30,000.
Yes.
Wow. Sasa hiyo 30,000 lazima ujaze na inabeba kama crate ngapi?
Inabeba 70.
So lazima ukipiga mahesabu yako hiyo 70 itoe 30,000 kwanza ya lori
ya transport.
Sasa wacha niulize, tukienda na mfano bei gani ndio what is affordable?
All right. Sasa ile ingekuwa affordable kabisa, it is around 26. Ndio hiyo ingine iwe itatusaidia kulipa hawa watu wanatufungia nyanya na hawa mama wanatuchagulia wanafanya sorting out.
So kila gharama lazima upige hesabu yako vizuri. So tuseme ukipata gari ya kama 20,000. Unajua umesema 26,000 kama 20,000 shillings. Hiyo ni kitu ya afadhali kweli?
Hiyo itakuwa more better. Juu hiyo sasa ita reduce your expenses na hiyo ndio itakuwa tukipata faida mzuri.
Shida naye si kukosa gari. Shida ni hii, ni mafuta.
Bei ya mafuta.
Maana unajua sasa gari haitasema haikunywi, gari inakunywa. Na uwezi punguza ya kukunywa kwa gari. Lazima ikunywe.
So hii bei ya mafuta najua tumeahidiwa kwamba kabla siku 100
ni kweli
bei itapunguka bei kidogo, si ndio? Lakini hii bei ambayo tuseme kama ikipunguka, kama ni bei ya mafuta ama gharama ya gari, kukomboa gari, je, nyinyi kama wakulima na pia wauzaji muna extend hii benefit kwa wanunuzi kweli?
Oh yes, ikiwa hiyo ikireduced, sasa tutakuwa tukiexpand hii farming, juu hiyo pesa itatusaidia wakati tu ya pande ya laborers, na ile vitu tunaweka kwa shamba ndio sasa kilimo iwe kubwa.
Hata niulize Wamboi anipatie nyanya mbili hapo. Tuone, sababu kuna kitu ambayo nataka kuuliza. Kuna kitu ambayo mnafanya hapa na naona wanasort wakitupa.
Yes.
Ni nini mnaangalia sana?
Okay.
Na hii nyanya mbona imekuwa
nao
mzuri?
Vile unaona hizi vile ziko kubwa.
Yes.
This is the grade 1.
Grade 1.
Na ile unaona ikitupwa pale, they are the mediocre one. So yeah, all those are the mediocres.
Yani hiyo yezi enda sokoni.
They are horrible. Haiwezi kwenda. Yeah.
Sasa niulize.
Yes.
Ukienda sokoni na sababu wakulima wengi sana wako na shida mingi. Na shida moja niona ambayo naona nyinyi mnatatua. Nyinyi mnalima a big chunk of land.
Ni kweli.
Wakulima ambao wanapanda eka moja, nusu eka, wanatoboa kweli?
Hawatoboi. Sasa pale wanakona charges juu za zingine hii kitu iligia ikanaitwa tutor, kakianza kuwa infeded kwa hiyo shamba inachapa yote yanatokezea.
Sasa kuna kitu ambayo pia ningependa kuuliza, vile umeongea juu ya tuta.
Yes.
Ni nani alikufundisha madawa ya kutumia na mbolea gani? Nani alikufundisha?
Haya, sawa. Wakati tunaenda kuenda kununua pale kwa maduka ya madawa, tunaulizaga, wanatupatia advice. Na sasa vile tumekuja hapa tumerima kwa kilimo kwa wrong term, sasa tuko na experience vile kanaingiaga na vile tunakafukuzaga.
So like hata niulize, magonjwa mengi mdudu ambayo unasumbua nyanya sana ni tuta.
Ni tuta.
Na ni dawa gani? Kuna dawa ambayo mmepata inasaidia ama kuna kitu kingine? Kwa sababu kwa nini nauliza hivyo? Tumesikia kwamba kuna GMO.
Yes.
Kuna mbegu ya GMO inaingia. Na wanasema hiyo mbegu ya nyanya ama ya mahindi, hiyo mbegu haitaweza itakuwa na nguvu ya kufukuza mdudu kama tuta. Hiyo ni kitu ungeweza kufurahia?
Hiyo kama hiyo ikiwa na hiyo resistance, twaweza furahia sana juu sasa hiyo pesa yote tunatumia pale haitakuwa ikitumika. So sasa hapo tutakuwa na benefit kubwa.
Wamboi na wewe? Wamboi amesikia mambo ya GMO akastuka kidogo.
Hapana, sijastuka. Hivyo amesema itatusaidia sana.
Itapunguza gharama sana, ndio.
Itapunguza.
Sasa wacha niulize kitu kingine. Mkisema mmeanza kuvuna, mnavuna kwa muda gani? Kama leo umeniambia mmefungua shamba, ambao tutatembea ndani ya shamba tuangalie. Kufungua shamba inamaanisha nini kwanza?
Okay, sasa kufungua ni ile yote imeiva, tunatoa ile iko ready sasa to be eaten. Na sasa hii tuna harvest once per week. Na inaendaga 2 good months tukiharvest 1 per week.
Mnafanya once per week peke yake?
Yes.
Na sasa baada ya wiki hiyo hiyo shamba mkishavuna, umekuja umegrade hizi ambayo mnasema ni mediocre, hizi horrible.
Sasa hii ndio inakuliwa na kina ng'ombe kwa wakati ya kirangazi.
Na hii tukiangalia hii kuna vile inaweza tengenezwa iwekwe kitu kingine iongezwe value, ama hii sasa hii si ya soko yako?
These ones now are out. Juu sasa hii pasuka. Na wakati inapasuka haiwezi kudeliver pahali yoyote.
Inamwaga maji.
Inamwaga
maji. So hata ukiweka kwa hiyo crate inaharibu hizo zingine pia.
Inaharibu zingine.
Sasa wacha nikuambie. Ungeweza kukutana kama hii. Inaharibuka, sasa zikikutana hii nyingine zinaharibika.
Inapasuka.
Okay. Sawa. Wacha nikuulize, niko na maswali 2-3 ambayo ya mwisho. Ukiweza kukutana na kiongozi wa nchi yetu, ni nini ambayo ungependa afanyie wakulima?
Okay. Ile kitu naweza kuongea naye nimwambie, kwanza tuangaliwa bei ya mafuta na bei ya fertilizer na bei ya madawa hii tunapika huku shambani. Sasa hiyo tukiangaliwa tutaanza kuinuka. Juu hiyo bei ikiwa mzuri, tutakuwa tukilima kilimo kubwa na bado itakuwa ikitusaidia.
Na Wamboi, ukikutana na Mheshimiwa William Ruto leo, unaweza muuliza nini?
Namuuliza kwanza mafuta ishuke.
Mafuta ishuke.
Ndio transport yaje kutukalia.
Isitukalie vibaya hivyo. Asante sana. Na je, what is your advice to upcoming farmers? Upcoming farmers, wale wanataka kuanza, wale wanauliza nipande nini? Ni nini hiyo ambayo ungeweza kuadvise?
Okay, with me naweza kuambia kilimo ni kitu kizuri sana juu sasa si wakati si tulifanya kutuka kwa ile makazi tulikuwa tukifanya, tulikuja hapa kwa farming na inatusaidia kusomesha watoto wetu hata kuwapeleka college. Hata sisi bado tuko na mzingi mzuri juu vile tunakaa tukiwa sawa sawa. Kwa hivyo wale wanataka kilimo ni kitu nzuri, ile kitu nzuri sana ni kuaga ukiungana na hao watu wengine. Kama wewe ni mgeni ndio wakakuvuzaga vile utaanza na vile utaendelea. Na ni kazi mzuri bado inainua watu.
Asante sana. Wamboi, maoni yako kwa na dada kina mama ambao wanataka kuingilia ukulima? Kwa sababu tunakuona uko kwa barabara, uko sokoni. Advice yako ni nini? Mtu ambaye amejaribu kulima, akajaribu yuko karibu ku give up, ungemadvise namna gani?
Ningemwambia tu asife moyo. Endelee kujitahidi. Siku moja tu Mungu atamsaidia na atakuja kuvuna.
What has made you successful? Nini imekufanya ukakuwa successful?
Hizi kile kimefanya ni faulu sana. Ununuzi wa nyanya. Mimi nimenunua sana.
Unanunua na unatafuta soko. Wewe maanisha unatafuta soko pia? Kwa kawaida. Mara ngapi kwa mwaka kwa wiki uko sokoni ukitafuta soko?
Kila siku.
Kila siku. So hii nyanya ukitoa hapa unaenda unaipeleka mahali alafu unaanza kuuza pole pole mpaka iishe?
Hapana. Naipeleka soko. Nauza hiyo siku. Naweza isha. Naibaki saduku kidogo. Tena kesho yake bado niko shambani natoa nyingine. Bali naenda Nairobi, yani na hii gari nakujaga kila siku shambani.
Na wewe?
Yeah, okay.
What has made you successful? Nini imefanya usitoke kwa hii ukulima?
Okay, sasa hii kazi ya nyanya ni kazi mzuri. Ile kitu iko ukianza inakuwa na challenges kali na ukitoboa pale inakupatiaga hope of life.
So don't give up.
Don't give up. The job is good.
Thank you. Thank you very much for our guests and thank you for watching us.
Yes.
This is a Farmers Media.
All right.
Hey, did you hear that?
Yeah.
The red tomatoes are mediocre.
Yeah, and that's what some of us have been buying, thinking that is like grade 1, because I couldn't go for the green tomatoes. I couldn't go for them, but now I know better.
Those ones we saw, they are being given to the cows that hiyo ni mediocre, hiyo ni mbaya, hiyo ni chakula ya ng'ombe na mbuzi wakati wa kiangazi.
While people are dying from hunger.
Now, that's where now the story. That's now where the story of food waste and food loss comes in. Like there are people who are dying of hunger, and there are others in Nyandarua who are stuck with their produce at the farm. You are telling me that story?
Yeah, the cabbage story, where you find that as much as people in drought-stricken areas are dying, there is no food, there is no water. In some areas, people are stuck with their produce. Someone harvested a good number of cabbages, they're stuck, they can't get them to the market, they can't even get them to these relief areas. So that leaves you questioning so much.
So Langi, you're the one who is carrying out this research. What would you say, why would we be having such a scenario where one county is overproducing and some things are going to waste? Because Mashuru is an area that is known to grow a lot of tomatoes, a lot of onions. But if you go there, the tomatoes are being fed to the animals because there are just way too many.
Yeah, sure. So one thing I'll answer, and I'll use an example of Lodwar. There's a lot of fish that comes from there. There's actually a lot of it. Yeah, but now getting it from that end to here is really a lot of stress. Yeah. So by the time it gets here, 2 or 3 days on the road and all. Yeah. So that is actually one of the contributor. Yeah, so some areas actually are inaccessible, the transport is not good, so they are getting that food from that end to now the market whereby people need it, it's even more, it even becomes a bit more expensive. Yeah. So an area will just have a lot of it, but now it can't get to where it's actually really needed. Yeah, and that is why we want the transport network to be as efficient as possible, so that every place whereby farmers can sell, they're able to sell their produce. Yes.
I know at the end of the research you'll be sharing with most of the farmers the affordable modes and means of transport for farm produce. But what did I want to ask? But which mode, you didn't answer me about which mode is the best, which one is the preferred mode of transport, and from the few people that you've interacted with, would you say we have companies that do have transportation services for farm produce? Have you come across any?
I think they are, but they're limited to large-scale farmers because either they're charging way expensive. So for a smallholder farmer is left stuck wondering, could they afford that? It could be an efficient means. It could even be a huge truck that can transport your goods to the market. But now for a smallholder farmer, they're left stuck wondering, can they afford? Because probably they've been drained in terms of input, in terms of harvesting, so they're left with nothing. So I think it's the way the problem is, can you afford it? Yeah, as a farmer.
But Langi, would you prefer probably to work with a company that is registered? Kitambo, we used to hear of DHL and such other companies. Or would you rather deal with the brokers who just come to your farm, buy whatever you have and go?
Yeah, so registered companies are good because they are organized, and it's even easy for the farmer to track their produce from the market all the way to, so from the farm all the way to the market. Yeah. So I think working with the organized registered company is very, very good as opposed to working with the broker. Then it's also very easy to control price when you're using the organized companies. It's very easy to talk to them and what. Because one of the things we also realize that, you know, when somebody is a broker, they just set a price depending on very many factors, especially when they realize that they're the only one who is offering that service, then the price is going to be high. The day they realize there's competition, the price is going to be low. But now when you're using the organized transport companies, it's very easy to have them have a standard price for anyone. Yeah, then the logistics is also very efficient, and even in terms of now liability, some of them can accept liability. Yeah, it's very easy to even if maybe you got your customers in the market, it's very easy to promise them, okay, by tomorrow this time my product is going to be there. Yeah, so it's very efficient to work with them. Yeah. So the problem with the organized companies is that we realize that most of them don't go very deep to the last mile. Yeah, so they work closer to the highway where the road look is very good. So it's upon the farmers to get, especially the last mile farmers, to get the produce to where these organized companies are. If you're working with DHL itaenda yuko mashinani, ndio sasa unapelekea and maybe probably DHL utawapelekea kwa airport or something, maybe if it were flour or fresh produce that you are transporting out of the country. Yes, but it's very convenient and efficient working with them. Yeah, so one of the things that we're also looking at this project is that, is it possible to organize farmers in a way, maybe in a group, in a cooperative or any other group, yeah, so that when they also engaging these companies, they engage as a as a unit, as opposed to each farmer trying to engage them. It's going to be cost effective for them and also solve the issue of produce.
Yeah, not only even the issue of produce, because I'm imagining if you approach a group, you know, when there are many, they'll be able to negotiate the price they want. They can be able to decide, this is the price we are selling our produce at. But when you're one person and you're stuck with that produce, you'll just be exploited because you're struggling. You cannot negotiate on your own because the broker already has other produce. So dealing in a cooperative, I think it's the way to go.
Sure.
So if you want to tell us a little bit about the project. We've not heard you talking about the project today.
No, today I came in to learn more from what Eric would say,
Mhm.
and he's expounded on it, which is a good thing. Now we know the route we are taking. So the project so far we've talked to transporters, we've talked to traders, we've talked to brokers, and the kind of information we've gotten from them is their argument is that transport is a challenge because it's expensive. Yeah, that is the much data we've collected from them, because also traders they have the same challenge. They say transport is expensive. They already have a market. They have a ready market. So now getting just their produce to those market is where the challenge comes in. So that is something that I've really discovered. And for farmers, I'm yet to talk to farmers and interact with them. But even there's a time I interacted with farmers on our online platform, and majority of them were saying transport is a need, because I posed the question and asked them, between transport, storage, and market, which one would you need first? So majority of them said transport was a need, because majority of the farmers were saying they already have markets, but now just getting their produce to those markets is where the challenge comes in. Yeah, so transport is a need out here for many farmers.
So probably if farmers could get transport, do you think they'll be able now to be transporting their produce from the farm to the market?
If they get an affordable and efficient means of transport, because we all know cheap is expensive, and that is what so many farmers have been falling for. You have your produce, you go for the cheapest means. By the time they're getting to the market, you've incurred so much food waste and loss. So if they can get something that is efficient but still affordable, that will really do them some good. And the convenience of getting a good means of transport is something that can reach your farm. Because I'm even thinking, if we have collection points, how do I get my produce to that collection point? Even if it depends with the kilometers away from my farm. But I can imagine if it's a collecting point, it doesn't need to be far from your farm. It should be somewhere where you can conveniently take your produce. Yeah, so that you don't incur losses within that shortest of distance. Yeah.
And have you noticed, what are the transporters saying about our roads? Are they proper roads? Do they have challenge when transporting the produce from the farm?
Yeah, majority of our roads, especially outside Nairobi, majority of our roads are in very bad conditions. And that is also a challenge for transport providers. And that also makes them determine the price they are going to set. Because I believe if you're traveling interior kabisa to the last mile farmer, and the roads are not convenient, if you are going to a road that is not in good condition and it has rained, do you know that you can get stuck with that truck?
Sure.
And you're carrying tomatoes, and maybe you'll even be stuck there for 2-3 days before you seek help. So what happens? The farmer will still incur losses, because you realize tomatoes cannot stay somewhere for 2 days, and the intention was to get them to the market within a day. Yeah.
And come to think of it, these transporters, how many people do they have like on the truck who go collecting the produce? Is it just the driver, or do they usually go with people who go loading the produce to the trucks?
Yeah, I think when it comes to loading, it's up to you as a farmer. From what I've seen, is just the driver and the turn boy. But for you as a farmer, you're left with the responsibility, and that's why when a farmer is harvesting and transporting their produce, they will have people in the market to come and load the truck for them. They will hire a few people here and there to come and load.
Very interesting. I'm actually thinking of even the security of the transporters. Probably they have to travel at night. How safe are they, and is it gender biased? Because would you get a female transporter doing this kind of job?
It boils down to men have it easy, because we realize most and hey, guys, don't come for me, but most transporters are men. Because Jackie, as a woman, is it even safe for you to travel at night under the conditions? Probably you're so squeezed in that truck, like hapo mbele. And this thing is very common. If you look keenly on these long distance drivers, they carry like even 4 people sitting on your part 2 ya mbele. So as a woman, are you comfortable being squeezed up mbele just to ensure your goods get to the market nini in one piece? You'll have to hire somebody to just do and even I think it's not even safe for a woman, and it's also tiring.
What's your take, Langi?
Yeah, I agree. Of course, much of the stuff that is done around transport logistics, some of it require energy that naturally women don't have, especially
Who told you women
loadings.
don't have? Who told you women don't have? Have you tried me?
Well, when it comes to the loading, most of them don't have.
It's easier said than done.
When it comes to the loadings and
No, I can drive. I can
offloadings,
drive.
Yeah, of course, a few are getting in, but they, Fiona said, the transport happens mostly at night, and naturally we expect women to maybe be at home, taking care of their families, and those are some of the things that you realize that makes not as many women as men get into this. Yeah, then of course it's a bit more insecure for a woman traveling at night than it is for a man.
Hi.
Yeah.
What happened to the saying of what a man can do, a woman can do better?
I think here if we bring the issue of gender equality, it's so tricky, because at the end of it boils down to even the simple things. How safe are you asking for a taxi at night and arriving to your destination? How safe are you if you have a male driver?
It depends on the courage that you have.
Jackie, it's not even about courage. Unexpected things can happen to you along the way. Things that you didn't expect. The moment you're requesting for that cab, in your head you imagine you're safe, because I think everything is on the app. If this person, we've had such cases of people being molested. So I think for me, it's not safe for women.
But the reason why I'm asking this is because at the end of the day, we need to also empower these women. That we should not be just looked at like we don't have the energy or we don't have the skills, because that's the main reason why you even find women are usually exploited. Women farmers shy away from even selling their produce in the market, because they're like, if I go, they'll give me less money. Let my husband probably go and sell. So
And
like it's about time that we also encouraged women to take part in such kinds of things. I usually see women taking part in constructions.
Yeah, women are slowly breaking the barriers. Women are slowly doing that. And even when we were at the market, we noticed there were so many women traders who were safeguarding their trucks. Like a woman would stand next to a truck full of potatoes, and you realize they will say ni mzigo yangu. So women are slowly breaking those barriers, and they're slowly getting into these businesses, which is a good thing.
So like I think in the research you also need to include the gender. And,
Sure, yeah, and definitely when you're collecting data, there's that question that has about gender, so that we also want to see when you're looking at transport and logistics, does it have some gender connotation in it? How do women farmers view it, and how do men farmers view it? So when you do the report and also the intervention, that needs to come out clearly.
Well, that has been today's evening farm drive, and that's the campaign that is already on course. It's a project that, like Langia said, is taking 6 months. We'll be putting the questionnaire for farmers, transporters, any person who is dealing with agriculture from either Kajiado, Nairobi, Kibwezi, Machakos, Embu, Mombasa, and Kisumu, Kisii, to tell us, how do you transport your fresh produce from the farm? What challenges are you encountering, and how can we better the forms of transportation? Where do you take your produce once you harvest from your farm? Do you have like a collection center? Do you have a market where you usually sell? There's the issue of sales fees. How much are you charged? And yes, let's have this discussion. Keep the comments flowing on our Facebook page, and we will sure be ready to sample some of those comments, and we'll also be answering any questions that you might be having. Before we say goodbyes, I have farmers from fun fact. Do you have proverb?
Proverb of the day.
So,
Okay,
farmers'
women
fun
English.
facts: crayons. Did you know that crayons are grown from soybeans? Those colors that kids
I
usually.
had no idea.
Okay.
Interesting.
I didn't know. I've known.
Me, I used to think they were made from candles, like the
the
candle
wax.
Yes, yeah, sure.
So
Okay.
the crayons are grown from soybeans. Soybean
nice,
oil is a crucial ingredient in making crayons. Soya crayons glide smoother and don't flake.
Oh,
Nice, yeah, that's
Wow.
good. That's good to know.
interesting. Interesting.
Oh, now I'm feeling good. I've taught someone. I've taught you guys something
You taught us
new.
something new.
Sure,
Yeah, we will
yeah.
not forget about that.
Mhm.
And as we are teaching some people something new, guys, as you can see, we had someone new in studio today. Some of us, you've seen our faces here more than once, twice. So we had someone new in today, sitting right next to me. So we are going to get a bit up close and personal with our guest. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
I'm putting you on the hot seat.
Yes.
So guys, I'm going to throw in a few questions for him and he will answer them. Are you giving me consent to ask the questions?
Yes.
So, what is your favorite color?
My favorite blue.
Blue. Okay. What is one of your holiday destination? If you're given a chance to go on holiday today, where will you go?
There's a place called Takawiri.
Hey,
I think it's in Mbita, Rusinga area.
wow.
Yes. I'm not a fan of coast.
You're not a fan of. Now, you know, the good thing is you're choosing local. The same question I posed to Jackie, and Jackie was like, Hawaii. So it's always interesting to find someone who chooses local, because many people, when they're asked for a holiday destination, hey, people in Maldives,
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
know.
sure.
So interesting, and you're choosing home, kabisa.
Sure.
Okay, if you had a superpower, what would it be?
A superpower, probably just trying to know what somebody thinks.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. I think for me, if I had a superpower, I would choose to be invisible. Na hii economy, maybe I can get into banks, you know.
Chukue pesa kidogo.
Nichukue pesa kidogo nisonge. Okay, so what are you currently reading?
I'm reading a book called Range. It's a book that tries to explain why some people are specialists and why some people are generalists.
Hey,
Yes, and trying to give the difference between both. Actually, it's called Range, why generalists succeed in a specialized world. Yeah, you know, there are these people who kind of do a lot of stuff, and you even wonder, what is this guy known for? But they are specialists, whereby somebody's on, this is a farmer, this is a doctor, this is a what. Yes. So it's
okay.
good. That's what I'm reading, yes.
So you've said the title is
Range.
Range.
R-A-N-G-E.
Okay. So what's your favorite meal?
Ugali fish.
I can see Eric loves his fish, eh? So Eric, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you. It takes you've taken your time kidogo, but it was worth it, I assume. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It was also engaging. I will engage more because we're still collecting more data. So just again, the farmers, I hope the link has been shared into the questionnaire. Kindly go online and fill in so that we get as much information as possible. And let's hope for the best from this project. Just like I told you before, in the long run, we want a situation where we can offer efficient, affordable, and reliable transport and logistics service. Yes, that is going to benefit the farmer, benefit the transporter, and also reduce food waste. Yeah, thank you very much.
I forgot one question. What is your favorite social media platform?
My favorite social media is Twitter.
Twitter. Are you following us on Twitter?
Yes.
Okay. Are you following us on all these other platforms?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So guys, to get more information on what Eric has said, please be sure to follow us on our social media platforms, on Facebook at A Farmers Media, on Twitter at A Farmers Media, on Instagram at A Farmers Media. From there, you'll be able to know even when the questionnaire has been posted. So look out for that.
Yes, Fiona, you're still on the spot on the Farm Her campaign. How far are we? People are still asking, is the campaign still on? There's some who are interested. Probably you can mention it.
So, Farm with Us, the campaign is still on. Come farm with us for free. The farm is located in Ngatatowek in Kajiado. We are looking for someone who is between the age of 25 to 35. So if you're between that age gap and you're passionate about farming, come farm with us. You'll get free land, free farm inputs, free source of water, and you will have an agronomist who will support you, direct you. So it's actually a steal guys. So come one, come many. Majority of people were asking about the criteria on how we are choosing. I've just mentioned that now. We are looking for someone who is at between the age of 25 to 35. The location is in Kajiado County, a place called Ngatatowek. Our farm is called Longosua Farm. Is that? Longosua. I know Masais will pronounce it better. So that is the name of our farm. And some of the Jackie, people are also asking, what are they supposed to plant, or what are they expected to plant in our farm?
The crops, in my understanding, it's crops that are fast growing, that usually take between 3 to 4 months. So you can already guess which crops take 3 to 4 months. Also, the amount of space that people will be given, it's between half an acre to 1 acre, depending on your interest and your passion, and depending on even the criteria, because there's some questions which will be asked. For how long have you been practicing your farming venture? Why do you need more space? Probably if you have a quarter an acre, why would you want to be given half an acre? Is it because you're getting more yield? Is it because you have a ready market? And yes, so we'll be the telephone number to call is 0700 293031. You can also get the information on our Facebook page, Farmers Media, and there's a questionnaire as well you're going to put for people to fill and tell us why you need to be given the space. There is limited space, by the way. We are picking only 12 young, vibrant people who are free, because we don't want telephone farmers.
And the program is going to take a duration of 6 months for those who are asking. So if you're passionate about farming, this is your chance to explore. This is your chance to explore the wild, wild west.
Sure.
We are deep in the wild.
You can imagine practicing your farming venture in the wild, where you're just seeing zebras crossing. Elephants are there. Sometimes you can see even the hyenas. Dik-dik. I've never seen a dik-dik, by the way. What is a dik-dik? I usually hear dik-diks. And we also have beehives at the farm. So probably by the time you'll be doing your projects, we might be harvesting honey. So lots of honey for people like Fiona who are allergic to cold.
Yeah. Struggling with sinuses. But anyway, guys, the program is free of charge. We just need your time, your dedication, and we need passionate people. So don't be duped outside there. Our program is for free. If you need more information, kindly call the number on your screen and come farm with us.
That has been the evening farm drive. Thank you so much, guys, for always making time. Langi, we are looking forward to having you more often, as we are now starting this new project on transport and logistics. We need as much information we can for our audience to be able to understand. Probably we are even looking at the wrong regions. Once we start getting this information out, more people will come in and tell us, by the way, Mayor wanted us to go to Meru. And just run with those
we
trucks.
In the neighboring Embu.
The mirror trucks.
Run with those trucks.
Speed. Can we keep up?
I'm ready.
Nasikia unaambia usilete kiherehere kama gari ya mira. Those people are fast.
So thank you so much. We'll be seeing you, our audience, tomorrow for another show on the evening farm drive. And we have another interesting show in the morning. with a lady from Kisomo City. She's doing fish farming, like climate smart agriculture. She's doing a lot. I didn't know tomatoes can grow in Kisumu.
They do.
Really?
Yeah.
The weather is conducive, ama it's greenhouse.
Greenhouse. Most of it goes in the greenhouse.
Yeah, because I thought the weather there, no. The soils are the black cotton.
Some areas are black cotton, some areas are the red soil. Yeah.
Or the ones that are bordering Kisii are red. And
Yes. Kisii is red. Yeah. Then towards the lake region, it's black.
Black cotton.
Yeah.
You see, I know Kisumu.
I have never been there.
Okay, so that has been the Evening Farm Drive with me, Jackie Mo.
My name is Fiona Luther.
I'm Eric Lange.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye-bye.